Welcome to Commanders Daily, everybody. I'm Bob Matthews. This is your one-stop shop for everything going on with the local 53. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss a day of it. Got some more stadium thoughts for you in just a couple of minutes, but for the second day in a row, we're starting with a little bit of breaking news, and that is that the Commanders have themselves a new kicker. Earlier today, the Commanders signed veteran kicker Matt Gay to a one-year contract. It's worth about $4.25 million guaranteed, $5 million overall. Be interesting to see if it's the last move, however, they make it kicker. Once they did that, they released Zane Gonzalez. This caps, at least for the moment, a pretty busy last 14 months for the Commanders when it comes to kickers. They've had 8 of them on the roster in the last 14 months. And of course, most of this stems from the fact that they signed Brandon McManus last year in the offseason, but then McManus had that sexual assault lawsuit filed against him. And considering where this franchise has been the last few years, they decided to let him go. So Brian Gay will be the guy that is going to try and do what Cade York and Austin Seibert and Gonzalez himself couldn't do, and that's keep this job for a while. Now, Brian Gay had a pretty good 2021 and 2022 season, hitting on 11 of 14 field goals from over 50 yards. But the past 2 years, he's just 50% at it, 11 for 22. So that begs the question, is this the last move we see at kicker for the Commanders, or do they bring in a couple of guys maybe to compete with him? We will see here, obviously, in the next few months. We got a long way to go before they decide what to do on that. Now, as for the stadium, if you weren't with us yesterday, Commanders and the city of D.C. inking a deal, at least with Mayor Muriel Bowser, to build a $3.7 billion stadium and redevelopment complex there at the old RFK Stadium site in D.C. This brings the Commanders back to D.C. Now, of course, it's not a done deal yet. City Council has to approve this. I think that I'm not saying that's going to be easy, but you kind of saw the machinations starting even yesterday. For one thing, they made a very big deal of touting the fact that Commanders general partner Josh Harris and his business partners are contributing $2.7 billion of this project. Now, that's significant because when you look at the other two stadiums that are under construction right now, the one in Buffalo and the one in Nashville, both of those are being paid with a lot more public money than this one is. It looks like right now you're looking at about a quarter to a third of it being public money. That's a pretty good deal when you think about it. Also, the fact that, again, and you heard Muriel Bowser say this in the press conference yesterday, the area is completely desolate right now, most of it at least. The 177-acre parcel is basically sitting not unused. There's some green spaces there. There are some, some small sports facilities there, rec facilities, but nothing that can't be massively upgraded, and I imagine would be by this project. So the folks that are in favor of it have a lot of political wind, I think, in their sails. Also, when you look at the bigger picture of this, and this is what is impressive, is that what they're talking about doing for this project is making DC's football stadium the same thing that there are in world-class cities around the world. And when you think about it, it's something that we really don't have in the United States, believe it or not, outside of SoFi Stadium in LA. What they want this to be is the same type of stadium that you see with Stadio Olimpico in Rome, or the San Siro in Milan, or Wembley in London, or Stadio Azteca in Mexico. I can go down the list, but every world-class city has a national stadium that's a showplace, and it's something that is, it doesn't just bring in events in their own country, but it brings in events from around the world. And that's really what they want with this. It's, if you've seen the renderings of it and stuff, 65,000 seats. It's going to have a roof. Which may or may not, and I think it's probably going to be retractable when it's all said and done. It's going to have views of the Capitol. I mean, this thing, if the finished product is anything close to the renderings, is going to be absolutely incredible. And I think at the end of the day, even for the council members that aren't on board right now, it's going to be very, very hard to stand in the way of this for very long. So I think that's probably, I think, that they've done this the right way. And when you think about it, it's just incredible the fact that Josh Harris has been able to do in less than 3 years what Dan Snyder wasn't able to do in almost 30 years of ownership. Okay, so what is next for the club? Well, we got rookie minicamp coming up here in a couple of weeks. That is set for May 9th and 10th. That'll be the first day that we get to hear from all of the draft picks, as well as head coach Dan Quinn and what he thought about how everything went. May 9th through 11th is the first time the rookies will be in camp, and we'll get to hear from some of the players, in fact, all of the draft picks coming up on May 9th, as they will all be talking after practice. And again, that'll be the first time that we get a chance to really kind of, get their thoughts in a practice situation and see, how everybody's looking. It'll be the first time we'll get a big extended sit down with Josh Connerly in a practice setting. It'll also be interesting to see, where they play him. Again, with a rookie minicamp, all the vets aren't there, so do you work him at left tackle? Probably not. I'll be interested to see where they start him on the right side. I'm going to assume that it'll be at right guard. And then as far as everything else after that, well, you've got the veteran minicamp that'll come up the end of May, and then OTA's the end of May. The veteran minicamp will come up the first part of June, and after that, it's just batten down the hatches and get ready for training camp, which will happen towards the end of July. I'm guessing, and I haven't seen the dates yet, but somewhere around the 25th of July or so, and that is going to be here before you know it. So that's going to do it for us today. Make it a good one. Have you a good one. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button, and most importantly, like the wise man once said, if you're out on your bike tonight, as always, do wear white.